Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, the Try-F podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up. And today we're going to talk about Ruslan KD. He was on the Shawn Ryan show, and he basically gave his testimony. So, Gary, how are you?
I am exhausted and fantastic. How are you?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. No, I'm at that place where like you're so tired you feel a little high. And you're riding it, but you know you're gonna crash hard in about, an hour.
An hour. I've been trying to hit that crash all day.
Yeah, that's kind of so that's where I'm at. So anyway.
Okay. Well, let's get into it.
Okay.
The first few minutes was his personal testimony. He kind of went over where he came from and his background. So if you want to listen to that, I think it gets into it about 3 minutes in.
3 minutes.
Or we could just jump straight to what I thought was the most interesting part was the spiritual warfare kind of talk.
Okay.
Which was let's see, 130. Yeah, 135.
Okay, I see. Personal testimony of faith.
Yeah, that's it.
135.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Calix says, "Yep." Hang on, we got a ZipRecruiter ad. This is gonna hurt.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
That's right. Smartest way to hire.
Have you seen what's happening in the crypto market? It's booming. And now you could earn Bitcoin from ordering pizza or even filling up your gas tank. Today we've partnered with Gemini to showcase the Bitcoin credit card, the instant Bitcoin rewards credit.
We have a rule. If we're using somebody else's stuff, we got to listen to the read through. You landed us right on the read through, so we got to listen to it, Trevor.
That was the goal.
I don't want any crypto.
I love this card because you're not trying to time the markets.
No.
You invest while you spend. The card is great. You earn Bitcoin back instantly on every purchase. You get up to 4% back on transportation, 3% back on dining, 2% on groceries,
4%?
and 1%
That's almost
on everything
5.
else. The Bitcoin credit card is an easy way for you to get exposure to Bitcoin without ever having to buy it directly. Just swipe your card like you normally would and earn Bitcoin back instead of points or miles. Bitcoin rewards
That's
earned
like
and
frequent
held
flyer
for 1 year
miles.
on the Gemini
Only
credit
worse.
card have appreciated
Bitcoin is real, man.
176% on average. You're investing.
It's real, just
as
like
you
a lie
spend.
is real.
Truly
They are
a
both
no-brainer.
things.
To sign up for the Bitcoin credit card, head to Gemini.com/SRS and get $200
Gemini.
in Bitcoin when
It's
you
like
spend
Genie.
$3,000
Get
in
it?
your
All your
first
dreams are
90
going to come
days.
true.
You can see if you're
Mental
eligible with
associations.
no impact to
It's
your
not
credit
corrupt
score.
marketing
Click
at
the
all.
link or go to Gemini.com/SRS to apply and start earning
It's
instantly.
like Genie
See
and
rates
AI
fees
and
in the
all into
description
one.
For more info or by visiting Gemini.com.
See, it's like Techno Genie. Buy
All right, we're back
Bitcoin
from
through
the break.
Techno Genie.
I want to move into, we're seeing this, at least I think we're seeing it. The internet makes it look like that, right? But it seems like, actually, it is happening. Tons, I told you the story about Eddie Penny earlier, big part of my journey to Christ and a mentor of mine. And, we're seeing this big wave of the revival of Christianity. And one of the things that I always bring up that's like a public display of all this is, I think it was the University of Georgia where they showed this.
Calix is asking, "What is this?" So you should explain it again,
Oh.
Mr. Trevor.
This is Ruslan KD. He was on the Shawn Ryan show the other day. Let's see. This was released 2 days ago.
And what is Ruslan KD saying that is of import?
He gets into spiritual warfare, and Shawn Ryan is asking him a question about all of what's going on with the revival. Because if you're online and stuff anymore, there's a lot of channels like ours that are just they're talking more and more about faith and the walk with Christ, and so Shawn asks Katie about that.
Okay, so is this more in regard to just the spiritual state of the culture at large, or is
Yeah,
this like regarding demons, or what is it specifically?
just a spiritual, how the spiritual realm is working
Okay.
in online right now.
So we're using this as a broad springboard to talk about the spiritual nature or the spiritual situation in the country. Is that right?
Kind of, sort
All
of.
right, cool. Then we'll go on.
Tailgate party, and all these kids, these college kids, are getting baptized in the back of it. Looks like a kegger. Looks like a fraternity party.
Calix says, okay, so there you go. All right.
And
All
then,
right.
and then you look, and it's people getting baptized. And I'd mentioned, Eddie came on my show and shared how he got saved. And then, I mean, it was at least a year. Every single person that came in here on the show had brought up Jesus Christ and coming to the Holy Spirit and getting into the Bible and all that stuff. And these are these type of individuals that I'm talking about on the show. I mean, a lot of them have seen, I mean, you've seen the worst of humanity as a 7-year-old, but these guys are coming back from war. They have seen a lot of carnage, and so for that kind of revival to happen, amongst that, it takes a lot. And I mean, we're seeing it through the veteran community. We're seeing it in Generation Z. I mean, my parents went back. I mean, I don't go to church, but I'm very into it. I want to learn. That's one of the reasons you're here. I want to learn from you. And I'm bringing on people like John Burke, Lee Strobel, priests.
Lee Strobel's awesome, man. I've read Case for Christ. It rocked me. So good.
He's one of my favorite people in the
he's
world.
amazing.
But he's got a new book coming out called The Case for Christmas this year.
Oh, dope.
Yeah. But anyways,
Really
we're
long
seeing,
question.
I think we're seeing this huge revival in Christianity.
What?
I forgot how long it took him to get to the question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's all right. I'm not super excited for the Case for Christmas, though. I got to be honest. I'm like, yeah. I'm sure that ain't the right date, but we had to pick one. So, I mean, that's just kind of where I'm at.
What case for Christmas?
Apparently, Lee Strobel is going to write another book called The Case for Christmas. That was what they were referencing. And I was like, I'm not interested too much in that because I'm sure we've got the date wrong, but we had to pick a date. So, there you go. But anyway, Calix says spiritual nature in the state of things. So he's just reiterating, what we are going to be talking about when Shawn Ryan gets to the question.
Not just in the country, but worldwide.
The Case for Christ is a very good book, by the way.
And I wanted to, get your thoughts on that.
Well, I think people have been faced with evil and discovered darkness. Mm-hmm. And when you face and you see darkness, you see COVID, post-COVID, you see how dark the world gets. I think that the natural reaction is, well, if there's evil, there has to be good. Mm-hmm. And I think it's honestly just walking through that paradigm. For me, I was coming to faith around the time of 9/11. So it was like, man, you see those towers go down. You see that sort of stuff. You see celebrating in parts of the world. And you go, oof, there's some evil in this world. There has to be good. There has to be light. So I'd say that's what you're describing. I think that would be my first assessment, especially folks who've gone to war and seen the evil of all of it, the darkness of all of it. I think you see that and you go, there has to be the opposite of this.
And done it too. I mean, I've talked a lot about this on the show, but I
Do
don't
you
agree
agree with
with
him,
all
Gary?
the reasons that we were over there.
That if you see evil, that means
No,
there has
just
to be
like-
good.
Yeah, there is that. Do you agree with that? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I do. Well, I mean, we've been through all that weird demon stuff ourselves.
Yeah.
Like we talked about it when Charlie Kirk was killed, evil is a palpable external thing.
Yeah.
And
They actually talked about that earlier too. What's the Charlie Kirk thing?
yeah. It's active. It is a force that impresses itself on people. It's not, the way that we've kind of been taught growing up is that it's kind of like circumstance If you had a rough childhood, you're more likely to, spread your pain around, as it were.
No.
But it's all kind of reactionary and internal within the person. And there's nothing actually palpable or external interacting, manipulating people or that kind of thing. And I think watching this sort of stuff that we've seen over the last several years, I mean, you do realize that evil is an external force that does force people to behave in ways that are counter to their own interests.
Yeah.
I mean, that when you see people take on that attitude of cutting off your nose to spite your own face and doing things to their own detriment just out of pure visceral rage, I mean, that kind of takes any sort of Darwinian framework and throws it out the window, because there's no pragmatism in a lot of the evil things that people do. It's self-destructive as much as it is destructive to the people around them. And yeah, I think people are starting to see that, because like COVID's a great example. I mean, those regulations hurt everybody. It hurt the people trying to force them on everybody else, but they still did it because they wanted to be popular.
Or make money.
Or make money, right.
Yeah. What always gets me is how evil they can be and not think twice about it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even think twice about it. They just do it.
Yeah.
Because it benefits them in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. It was something actually I was wanting to rant about tonight. We wound up grabbing different topics, so I wasn't going to persist in that, but I think it is kind of relevant to this, actually. But, I've been thinking a lot about Fabian socialism, or what H.G. Wells believed, because Fabian socialism isn't exactly right, because he joined a Fabian socialist club for a while, and then he left because he didn't think it was radical enough. But I don't know what else to really call it. But there is, in an early, like late 19th century, early 20th century, you had, we kind of understand it as a dichotomy, and I've been articulating it as a dichotomy too. You had fascism and communism, and the way that it's been framed in the country is that socialism is kind of like this weird middle ground, like a capitalist communist hybrid. But that's really not the case. It really is three distinct forms of totalitarianism, and they're all macabre and they're all incredibly self-destructive, going into one of the reasons why you would think that evil is an external thing in the world, because these ideologies, they implode. They all implode. And fascism, you had Hitler and the Holocaust and everything like that. And that's kind of that situation where a figurehead, a strong man, takes over the companies and all the rest of it. And then you had communism, where the bourgeoisie, you're overthrown by the proletariat or whatever. But you just end up with a mafia-style government in that case.
Which is scary, not so.
Mm-hmm. And that's when you get the genocides. But Fabian socialists, and I'm just going to use that term because I don't have a better one. It's not the best way to describe what Wells was, but it's just the most. He was part of the Fabian socialists for a while, so I don't know what else to call him.
What is a Fabian?
I have no idea. It was just a term. I mean, I could look it up really quick, but I don't want to lose my train of thought.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, it was just a term they were using at the time. I think technocratic feudalist. Hello, bad intro.
It's bad intro.
It's good to see
Good
ya.
morning.
Hello. So, I think technocratic feudalist might actually be good, but they wouldn't have used that term at the time. So I'm just going to call him a Fabian socialist.
Okay.
But basically, it's neither the. Calix says cheers, but it's neither communism, because you don't have the proletariat overthrowing the bourgeoisie. It's not fascism, because you don't have the strong man. But it is this idea of a committee of experts ruling everything. And that was started the same time as these other two ideologies. And so they call it Fabian socialism, or it was called Fabian socialism, but it's not a halfway house between communism and capitalism. It is its own distinct ideology. But the thing is, all three of them, they implode. The genocides end up causing famine, in the case of communism. And fascism, the strong man just ends up getting people into a war and getting everybody killed as well. But in Fabian socialism, it's particularly pernicious because you end up with this idea that you have a complete loss of identity. So this transgenderism stuff, like what we're going through now, is not a communist takeover, although I use that term when I'm being glib. But it's not a communist takeover. It's the H.G. Wells Fabian socialist takeover. It's that third form that we haven't really seen and understood very well yet. But the transgenderism stuff, all the breakdown of the social norms, that's part of what H.G. Wells described. And it's this idea that you have to get rid of any and all forms of identity. You can't identify as a man. You can't identify as a husband. You can't identify as a Christian. You can't identify as a citizen. You are basically supposed to be a alien gray living in a pod.
Or a lizard person.
No, if you call yourself a lizard, then you have an identity. No, it's like you can't have any identity beyond just being a man. And what does that end up looking like? Well, it ends up like with castration and like just destruction of everything that any and all semblance of order that God created.
So it's like Mark Zuckerberg.
Maybe. I don't know. But the point is, that's destructive too. All these ideologies are obviously going to like destroy the person implementing it as well as the people they enslave. But it never clicks. It never clicks with them. It's just fascinating. And that's one of the reasons I think evil has to be something external, because these ideas are so obviously self-destructive, and yet people persist in them. Anyway. Okay. Find the church doors. I agree, bad intro. I agree.
Church is your doorway to heaven.
Yeah. So, any thoughts, Mr. Trevor?
Crucified, not crucified.
Well said.
I'm not sure what that means.
That'll work.
That'll work.
So do you have any final thoughts, sir?
Uh,
Or do you have any thoughts of your own, sir? Because I just ranted.
No. You did a good explanation.
All right. Well, it's just frustrating because I am in a bad mood because there's this guy, a preacher in South Korea, who... Bad Itcher says, no, read the prior message. Find the church doors, crucified, not crucified. That'll work. I'm not sure what you're...
Howdy, gentlemen? Is that the one you're referring to?
No, it's find the church doors, but I don't know. It's all right. It's all right. So it's all good. So, I mean, there was this guy in South Korea this preacher who was just arrested recently, and South Korea is going through the same thing we are. And I don't know. It just... Glenn Beck was talking to the guy's son, and he asked the son what we could do, and the son just didn't really have an answer. And it kind of made me mad because Glenn Beck, as much as I like him, he's always going on about peace and being passive, and I'm not trying to advocate that people go burn down a Walgreens or something, but I'm like, you sit there and you push this passivity stuff, and then you demand answers. Like, well, what are you supposed to do? Because, look, in order to avoid a fight, sometimes you have to communicate that you're willing to fight.
Right.
So, I'm sorry, Bad Intro has said, no, I wrote a massive message prior to the light to the church doors. Scroll up, sheesh. I'm not picking up your message, Bad Intro.
Yeah, me either.
You might want to resend it, because I don't see it on here on the chat.
It just says "Howdy, gentlemen," and then find the church doors.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not getting it here. So yeah, you might want to resend it, man. So, okay. And so I was just frustrated because it's like everybody's complaining, but nobody really seems to have any message or like any way to like fix it. I just think part of the problem is people aren't willing to admit that this is actually a war. There is actual evil. Like there are people trying to like harm each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Must have censored out. That intro says.
That could be. I mean, YouTube is a bunch of commies. Or Fabian socialists. Or badmen. Something like that.
Yeah.
So, anyway. So, Arnold Siffel says, many. With a star. Well, it's good to see you, Arnold.
Welcome in.
Welcome in. So, yeah, I guess that's the short answer to his question. There is definitely external evil in the world. I'm frustrated because I feel like part of our problem is people won't admit it. They just like it's all incompetence, it's all stupidity, it's all circumstance, it's all just coincidence of in one form or fashion. But it's never palpable evil moving with a malignant will. And I think that's why we're having such a hard time fixing the situation because nobody will admit what the problem is. Fundamentally, which is an external evil. All right. And spell check is going wild here. I wonder why. We'll blame the communists and the CIA. That's what I always do. I just blame the CIA for everything. It's always the CIA.
It's always the CIA.
So do we need to go on to Ruslan KD's video, Trevor? Is there anything else that you wanted to point out?
Would you like to?
Well, it depends on if there's something else he was supposed to say.
I mean, we could just listen to the whole thing because the whole thing is really good.
We cannot do that. This is somebody else's work, and I don't want to steal their stuff. I could sit here and let other people do the work, but we can't do that, Trevor. So is there some other thing you're wanting to talk about specifically?
Have we gone on long enough, or do you want to keep going?
We've got about 5-6 minutes left for part 2.
Yeah, hit play. He
All right.
talks about it a little more.
Okay.
One of the reasons I left the agency is I didn't understand the mission anymore, you know, and I think that a lot of things that went down there was a lot of nuance to them, and maybe we shouldn't have been in parts of the world. But not only, you know, I don't think it's just the fact that people see evil. I think it's also the fact that it is so hard to find actual truth these days. I mean, in everything I think it stemmed from COVID, but I mean everything. I mean, right now the big thing, right, is Charlie Kirk's assassination. Who did it? What was it? What killed him? Lot of conspiracy type stuff around the sniper shop.
No,
that may
they
or
do
may
not like
be conspiracy.
communism.
No, they do not. Which is probably why we keep having so few views so much of the time. Because I can't stop using the word. Yeah.
They're a bunch of commies.
Yeah, they're a bunch of dad blame commies. We forget them.
Yeah, I agree with Shawn on that point. It is very difficult to find truth and then discern what is right and what's wrong. Especially with AI going crazy right now.
I'm not impressed with AI. People keep acting like they're impressed with it. It's got its uses.
Yeah, my wife has actually brought a couple videos from TikTok to me. Is this real? Hang on. Yeah, that's fake.
Yeah.
She has a harder time with it than I do. It's like, yeah, that's obviously fake to me, but for her, it's not. It looks real.
It depends what you're looking for. I mean, it's basically, you can tell there's not a lot of texture to the skin.
Yeah.
Like, it all looks very plastic and everything. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, it's still in its infancy. We'll see how far it goes. But I stand by my statement that it's a glorified switchboard, and it's going to reach its cap pretty quickly because it cannot think about things in the abstract. It's very math oriented. Everything is geometry. In fact, when I was making the book covers on ChatGTP, it had limits to the positions of the hands and different things because it doesn't understand what a hand is. It just understands
okay.
geometry and how to get certain angles in a certain way. And so if you try to describe the position of a body in a way that it can't compute, it won't work. So
I'm sorry to hear that bad intro.
Go ahead and read what he had to say.
Bad intro said AI is the reason 600 just got laid off at our company. Things are about to get really hard in the next 4 years. Sorry, laid off at my girlfriend's company. Sorry to hear that.
Man, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. I think it is going to be like that for the next few years. I do think it's going to cap out pretty fast, though, because it's a lot of hype. And to be perfectly blunt, I am convinced it's an embezzlement racket. Because my job, I've seen some people behind the scenes do some talking, and it basically it's got a bottleneck. And the problem, trying to explain it simply, is these people have like an evolutionary framework of the world, and then it's like it's more and more and more and more and more and more makes better. Like if you put more energy into something, in this case, information would be equivalent to energy. If you put more energy into something, it'll get better. But that's not true. Energy destroys things unless you have a system to utilize it. And so for example, a plant can handle sunlight, right? Because it's got photosynthesis. It has a way to utilize the energy. A couch cannot handle sunlight. If it just sits out in the sun all day, it's going to fray and destroy the couch. It can't respond to energy. So you have to have a system to take all that energy in. Well, this thing is like grabbing more and more energy, but the basic way that it comes up with answers is it's like monkeys throwing dart at the board. It's a probability generator. So if you say or like if you say John and Bob did A, it might say John and Bob jumped. Or John and Bob did X, then it would say John and Bob jumped or something like that. But it's not because it understands the word jump. It's inferring that jump is the right answer.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So the more information you give it, the less likely it is to grab the correct answer because the probabilities get smaller and smaller and smaller. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the more information actually makes it work worse because there isn't a system to utilize. There isn't a system to utilize all the additional input. So these clowns are out here grabbing all this data, thinking that they can make the data better, but really they're like hurting their own program because there's no way to utilize that data. And so it just makes the probabilities more and more vast. And so like when we were working on a project for a company that I had, we used AI to help a little bit, and we had itineraries that we would plug in to kind of help write language. And if you kept the itinerary small, it could do a pretty decent job coming up with a blib, like a little blip or whatever for it. But if you gave it a large, detailed itinerary, it would start getting days wrong. It would day 1 became day 15. Like everything started to scramble. Why? Because it doesn't actually know what the word 15 means. It doesn't know 1 is 1 and 2 is 2 and 3 is 3. It doesn't know that. It just goes by probability. What is the most likely? So the more numbers you give it, the more likely it is to jumble the numbers.
Yeah. It just sees a bunch of ones and zeros.
Yeah. So it's got a lot of uses, but it's gonna cap really fast because they cannot get around this probability problem.
Oh.
So it's hype. And so what they're doing right now is they're going, give us money, this is the future, this is the new industrial revolution. It's all crap. It's an embezzlement scheme. They're going to take off everybody's money. But in the meantime, people are going to lose their jobs, and people are going to have a hard time getting work because people believe the hype.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably already capped. And at most, like we're on the Chat GTP 5. It's going to be like Apple 16, where it's like one or two little things change and that's it. Like we're already there with it.
and then they'll block you on anything that is old school, so you can't utilize what you already have. You have to pay for the new one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe. But it's a fad. It's a fad, I think. I could be wrong. Maybe we're all moving to a beautiful utopia where we're all hermaphroditic pod people. Doesn't that sound just wonderful?
Yes.
Anyway. Yeah.
Well, yeah. If anybody wants to watch the Ruslan KD interview, he goes into more detail about his personal life and stuff. It's on the Shawn Ryan show.
Yep.
And so I think we're going to exit there.
Okay.
Part 2.
So we are calling this one good then. All right. Well, that is the end of part 2 then. Guys, if you're still on the live stream, stay with us. If you're watching this after the fact, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Faith, Fiction, and Folklore. If you did, we would love it if you would subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Rumble. We can also be found on X, Instagram, and Facebook. And we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Thank you again very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.